wides being bowled in the opening overs of these games. Usually has pretty good control though. Here he goes.
Well, he may only have had 5 overs in the warm-up matches, but right away, Curtly Ambrose on the spot.
Well, you couldn't want a better delivery to start off with. Very upright seam, beautifully on the off-stump line immediately. He has 2 slips in place, so that's the line to be bowling.
Saeed Anwar, tremendous record in international cricket at both Test and One-Day International level. This is his 171st One-Day International. Curtly Ambrose as well, very experienced, his 162nd. His partner is Shahid Afridi, who's made a reputation for himself as one of the most devastating hitters in the game. A reputation which he first made at the age of 17 when he was brought from the West Indies, Pakistan's under-19 tour of the West Indies, summoned to Kenya for a tournament there and smashed the fastest 100 in One-Day Internationals.
Excellent record in the One-Day Internationals. Saeed Anwar does well in both forms of the game, One-Day Internationals and in Test matches.
So very testing opening over here from Curtly Ambrose. Something you would expect from the great fast bowler.
Excellent line. Perhaps just a bit wide, but when you have got 2 slips, you don't mind that. Batsman looking to play through the offside, very packed offside field as well.
Curtly Ambrose starts with a maiden over as Pakistan winning the toss and batting, yet to score. So Pakistan winning the toss. Cloudy throughout the day, it says, but generally dry. In fact, it does seem to have got lighter, and the wind has picked up a bit, and temperature just 15 degrees. It's quite pleasant. Here's Courtney Walsh now to start for the West Indies. A man, of course, who would know virtually every blade of grass in this ground. He played for 14 seasons here with Gloucestershire, was the Gloucestershire captain, took over 800 wickets in first-class cricket for the county before they parted company early this year.
Got a pretty big round of applause when he came out onto the ground as well. Courtney Walsh walking down towards fine leg in the previous over. Very experienced in the one-day game as well, Courtney Walsh, although in recent times he hasn't played a lot of one-day cricket. Missed the World Cup as well. Wasn't included in the West Indies team in the '92 World Cup.
Shahid Afridi played something like 60 one-day internationals before he made his Test debut. 66 one-day internationals before he got into the Test side, and then got a very good 100 against India in his only second Test match, opening the batting. Also a leg spinner as well. Very useful cricketer. Age of 19, one can imagine he has a very encouraging future ahead of him. There's his career in one-day internationals. And better than run a ball, that strike rate there.
Excellent strike rate, but you would love to see his average being a bit higher than that, though, just averaging about 25 runs. Strike rate is always very important how quickly you get your runs in these one-day internationals, but if you're not getting a lot of runs, strike rate doesn't really come into play at all. You need to get runs as well as getting them quickly. You can see his average under 25. You'd expect in one-day internationals, top-class batsmen or the men batting in the higher order would be averaging at least 32, 33.
So Pakistan get their score moving with a leg by. Walsh, like Ambrose, starts with a maiden, and Pakistan are one without loss. Ambrose and Walsh starting with maidens. And here's Ambrose now to Afridi. Didn't quite time it all that well. They'll come back for two. And there's a good run in this outfield. Chase up there for Shivnarayan Chandapal. But an indication that this outfield is going to be quite fast.
Didn't really time it at all, but it still got pretty close to the boundary. Curtly Ambrose just drifting a bit onto the leg stump line.
Little hesitation between the batsmen there. They seem to get a slightly bad bounce, or perhaps his sprigs just stuck in the pitch over on the square out at mid-wicket. Chandapal.
Well, one thing is for sure, if he had managed to pick that ball up, one of the two batsmen would have been in a bit of bother, more than likely Shahid Afridi. You see him just slipping as he got his hands down to the ball. That's why the ball didn't go right into the palm of his hands. Shahid Afridi had taken off and gotten halfway down the pitch.
Emphasizes your point, Mikey, that you were surprised that Pakistan should win the toss and bat.
Yes, yeah, you would expect that in the early overs the ball would do quite a bit. Curtly Ambrose right on target. Well, he's certainly bowling a better line to the left-hander than to the right-hander.
Pakistan, of course, so strong in fast bowling with Wasim Akram, Shoaib Akhtar, who we mentioned earlier. This new tearaway was created quite an impression in recent times. Azhar Mahmood, Abdur Razak as well. Very strong in their fast bowling department. Beautifully bowled once more to finish off the over from Curtly Ambrose. 4 without loss, Pakistan. So here's Walsh flicked away by Afridi down to long leg. Fielder out there is Ricardo Powell, who is the newest member of the West Indies side, getting his first match at this level today.
A lot of indecision between Said Anwar and Shahid Afridi. Certainly need to get their running together, or at least their calling.
Of course, Said Anwar yet to get off the mark. He's had 10 deliveries, so he's anxious now. And he certainly has played at and missed more than he's actually played.
Good pace, good bounce here from Courtney Walsh.
Brian Lara back in action. That wrist problem which he had dates back to January 27th, when he was struck on his right wrist by a ball from Jack Callis on a very lively pitch at Durban in a one-day international against South Africa. Of course, since then, he had made his 213, his 153 not out, his 100 in Test cricket. But he said suddenly it just became uncomfortable for him to grip the bat, withdrew from the series in the Caribbean against Australia in the one-day competition, missed the last 3 matches there, and didn't play in any of the 3 warm-up matches against the counties prior to the tournament. Didn't want to take the slightest chance. Still has it strapped, that right wrist. Beautifully played. He's off the mark, and all timing and placement. 9 without loss. Ambrose starts over number 5. Well, there's certainly a lot of indecision in the running between the wickets between these two. Jimmy Adams tumbling to his left. Afridi was a long way down.
Total confusion here between Afridi and Said Anwar. Jimmy Adams not even too sure exactly which end to throw.
Keith Arthurton, one of the few surviving members of the West Indies team from the 1992 tournament in Australia and New Zealand. In fact, that was the last time these teams met in a World Cup match. The West Indies won by 10 wickets at Melbourne, and he was in that team. Brian Lara was also there. Curtly Ambrose. Was a tournament, of course, that Pakistan went on to win the Cup, having lost their first 3 matches. And he's hoiked that over square leg. Of course, with the field restrictions, there's nobody in that area outside of the restricting area. And they've come back for 2.
A bit too short there from Curtly Ambrose. Doesn't want to be bowling that length at all at this stage of the game. Has 2 slips in place. West Indies have got to be very careful how these 2 opening bowlers bowl their first spells. They certainly cannot afford to look to be just containing. They have got to look to take wickets. West Indies have only gone into this game with 3 frontline bowlers, the 3 fast bowlers, Ambrose, Dillon and Walsh, and then some other bowlers to make up. Keith Atherton, of course, would do a bit of bowling. Phil Simmons, Ricardo Powell can as well. Jimmy Adams.
That's very fine, and that's 4. There is no fine leg. He really is almost a long leg. He's so square. So Pakistan now picking up. They've moved to 15 without loss after 5. So slow start for Pakistan, but they're now beginning to pick things up. 2 maidens to start off with. Here's Walsh. Very experienced campaigner, 189 one-day internationals. When he opted out of the West Indies team against England in the series in the Caribbean last year, it was felt, well, that was the last time he would play in one-day internationals. Well struck, 4 runs.
Well, we have seen this man's record in the international game, both test matches and one-day internationals. And now we are seeing exactly why he has such a good record. Just fractionally short, just a little bit of width as well. And he's quick to pounce. Right off the middle of the bat and well guided between the man at extra cover and point.
And that's a really good retort from Walsh. Just the kind of length and line he's looking for.
This is perfect. This is what you've got to be aiming for. 2 slips in place. You're looking to take wickets. New ball, especially with this white ball, you've got to keep it up to the bat. I think it's better off being driven than being cut away.
And he's had 2 cracking boundaries, but he's also been beaten on numerous occasions outside the off stump.
This one has come the other way now from Courtney Walsh. This one coming between bat and pad. No one could blame Syed Anwar to think that this ball would be going away from him again. Played for it to do so.
Pakistanis would have just perused the West Indies team and realized that they're depending very heavily, and even more heavily than usual, on Walsh and Ambrose. And they'll feel that once they can get through the opening spell, as Mikey was saying, without losing a wicket, that would give them an early advantage. Leg by finishes off the over. 6 overs gone. Pakistan 20 without loss.
Ambrose, keep working, son.
Ambrose starts over number 7. And he's dropped it. Put it down. Straightforward catch to Sherwin Campbell, who's in that first slip position. Brian Lara not risking himself in that usual first slip position. And Campbell, usually a very good slip catcher. Well, they don't come much easier than that.
This is a big miss by the West Indies. Said Anwar going for that cut shot, straight in and straight out. Came at a very good height as well. You want the slip catches to be coming just at about waist high. That's where it went. They'll regret this, West Indies.
That's one area where the West Indies have been very, very efficient in their overall catching, even in South Africa, where they were so thrashed in both the one-day internationals and the test. Their catching has been very, very good. And the first one that's come along in the World Cup, it's been put down. Didn't get it at all properly. Sherwin Campbell at first slip.
I was just stressing the point that West Indies need to take early wickets since they only have 3 frontline bowlers, specialist bowlers in their team. Cannot afford for Pakistan to be batting in the middle overs with lots of wickets in hand against the makeshift bowlers.
Really superb bowling here. Ambrose very disappointed to have had that catch dropped. He's beaten Said Anwar over and over outside the off stump, and the first time he finds the edge, I don't think Campbell even got his hands onto it. The ball seemed to have burst through and hit him somewhere in the leg. Just off the top of the pad. Well taken by Jacobs, and encouragement from Ambrose for his keeper, who's really had an outstanding start to his career for the West Indies, Ridley Jacobs. End of the over, 7 gone, 20 without loss. Pakistan winning the toss, and Wasim Akram choosing to bat. There's their lineup.
That's the rest of the Pakistan team sitting down in the enclosure, and that's their lineup. Very, very strong batting lineup here for Pakistan. Azam Mahmood coming in at number 8, Wasim Akram at number 9. Wow, that's a lot of batting.
Just the single down to third man. Seems to me, Michael, that there's a lot of bowling as well.
It's a very strong team, that's for sure. Lots of specialist bowlers, plus all-rounders who really do bowl well, not just all-rounders who fiddle around with the ball.
Nice expression. I think you've added that to cricket terminology now. Fiddle around with the ball. I think we know exactly what you mean. Just short. Dropped about 5 yards in front of Shivnarayan Chandapal over at square leg.
Long way away from Chandapal here. Had no chance of getting to it on the full.
No touch. Walsh certainly wasn't all that enthusiastic. The enthusiasm came from behind the stumps, and umpire Darrell here reacted with the same disinterest that Walsh did.
Seemed to hear a sound as the ball passed, but unlikely for that to be glove. Seemed as if it was his shirt on the way through to Brady Jacobs. This closer view will give you a better idea. Certainly was the shirt or the sweater that he's wearing.
Beautifully done. Shivnarine Chandapal. The West Indies have worked very hard on their fielding under the guidance of the fielding coach Julian Fountain in recent times.
And more importantly, they are throwing a lot better. They have always been pretty good fielders, the West Indies, but so many occasions you see them having run-out opportunities and missing the stumps. Well, Chandapal was right on target there.
He's gone. So Courtney Walsh picks up the wicket of Afridi. Ridley Jacobs holds on to the catch, and the West Indies have made the breakthrough. Pakistan 22 for 1 after 9 overs.
The West Indies certainly will welcome this after the mistake earlier on. Shahid Afridi is a dangerous batsman. He was looking to try and score quickly, and this was a good delivery. The pace and the bounce is what defeated him. Just guiding it into the hands of Ridley Jacobs. And Courtney Walsh has struck. He is enjoying that. It's 22 for 1.